Hey everybody, Derek Brown here again with another BEATBoX SAX Tutorial Tuesday. Today you might notice I'm actually playing a different instrument. It's because it's the alto sax, of course, where I normally play the tenor. I've actually gotten many questions from viewers who say, yeah, that's really cool what you're doing, but can you do those techniques on an alto sax? Because that's what I play. And so I'm here to tell you that yes, you definitely can. And the techniques are actually all the same. There might be some slight fingering differences with a couple of things, but I'll talk about those. Now there are various reasons why I play tenor, but one of those is that for the BEATBoX saxophone things, I find it presents a good middle ground between the lower bassier tones and then the higher melody tones that I can do. So on alto, that's the one thing, is that the slap-tonguing bass tones aren't going to sound as bassy on alto, of course. But it's the same technique and you can still make it sound cool. So I just want to run through all these techniques that I've covered so far. There are more to come, but I just wanted to run through, and I'm not even going to really explain them because I have videos on each one of these. So just if you want to dive more in depthly into one of these, just in the YouTube search bar, just search for one of these names that I say and pull up the video. I'm playing it on tenor, but once again, it's the same technique for alto. If there are any key differences, I'll talk about that in this video. As I've talked about in the very first tutorial on BEATBoX sax playing, there's kind of the three main things I'm going for, of a bass sound, a backbeat kind of snare sound, and then a kind of filler hi-hat sound. So getting those on alto, of course, to do the bass tone, I slap tongue my notes versus or I tongue ram the notes, or I go for this thing I call bass flutters, which is my attempt to get a kind of pitchless bass sound, kind of like a bass drum where there isn't a tone. You can do something like so forth. So those are the bass tones. For the snare tones, just like on the tenor, I'll do these things that I call saxophone pops, where I'm just making a pop noise with my mouth. Doesn't matter what fingering you're doing on the sax, you can get that. Or I do what I call the slap crack, because I'm slap tonguing the note. But other people, I've heard it called open slap tonguing, because you're dropping your jaw and you open your mouth right when you slap tongue. And that gives you kind of a more forceful sound. Those sound great on the alto. For the hi-hat, kind of filler tones, same thing with the tenor. I'm just doing tick, 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 just a very pronounced T. And you can do this either in the roof of your mouth or actually on the reed like I do it. And just like with tenor, it's really important if you keep your keys closed, and also keep your mouth not too open with this, because you want to project through the horn, because just this bell here, that's where most of the sound comes out on the sax. And if the sound's coming out of your mouth, everything you play that comes through the horn is going to be much louder, and this is going to get lost. Also, if you ever have a mic here, it just won't pick this up. So it has to go through the horn. To do that twice as fast, I do double tonguing hi-hat clicks. Still trying to keep my mouth around the mouthpiece. I'm just going taka, 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 taka. So those kind of give me the basic three things that I can get beats from. course, you can do different arrangements of those. Some other techniques that I use that I've talked about in some of my videos are one is called air puffs. Or thing I call smacker scratches, because I'm basically just making a kissing noise through the saxophone, that kind of motion, but trying to make it sound like record scratches. And I like to close my keys once again with those to make it project through the horn. And then some other just extended techniques that I've talked about, things like multiphonics that you can do on all the horns, and there's lots of information on this online, where you do some kind of unique fingering and you play it a certain way and you actually hear multiple pitches at the same time. One, for example, on alto, because these can vary a little bit from the tenor, that I like to do is the low C, but I lift up my D key. Low C, lift up the D. And I find that with this one, if you have a little bit firmer embouchure, basically biting a little bit harder. And you can hear the craziness of all those pitches going against each other. Another thing I do is this thing where I call it slap dyads, which is basically slap tonguing multiphonics, and you can hear them a little bit more cleanly, but they are a little bit on the quiet side. For instance, one of the things I do is I finger a low B flat and I lift up my index finger. This one works on both tenor and alto, though I found that other fingerings work better for either of the horns. But if I slap tongue this fingering, you get, which you can kind of hear, a G and a C. On tenor, I did a music video a little bit while back that you can check out. I just do my version of chopsticks on the tenor, and you can kind of do it on the alto. It sounds like this. Doesn't work quite as well. The low notes get a little bit lost, but maybe you can hear that a little bit. Another technique I talked about that a lot of people asked about is this idea called tartini tones, or combination tones, and that's where you sing into the horn a perfect fifth above the note that you're playing, and you can get a note to sound, and it's actually not there, but it's kind of an illusion, an auditory illusion of it sounding an octave below the note you're playing. For guys like me, that means pretty much just using the lower end of the horn, because it's hard to sing higher at the right volume because it needs to be loud. On alto, I still do the subtoning technique to do that, but here's what that sounds like. I'll do a low B flat, and I'll sing an F, a perfect fifth above it. La. And here's what it sounds like. Or I'll play it first, and then I'll sing as I play, and you can hear what sounds like an octave below. And I can keep going higher as long as I sing up a perfect fifth from the note I'm playing. So those are tartini tones. All right, so that's about all for me right now. Those are the main things I've covered on tenor, and I just once again wanted to quickly show you that it is possible to do these on alto and soprano as well. I have more techniques to introduce to you guys in the coming weeks, and so maybe further down the road I'll bring the alto out again and show that they can also be done on tenor. So in the meantime, check out my website if you'd like, and be sure to just check out these other videos that I have. Shoot me any questions you have at my website or in the comments below, and I will see you next week. Happy practicing.